What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's the common sense, and I took a tweak in the name instead of perspective. I wanted to call it the common sense lifestyle because it is the lifestyle of common sense that I'm trying to exude over here. I'm your host CM, and I wanted to talk to you. I like to talk about just random subjects, stuff that you may think about, maybe you like to talk about, but maybe you don't want to speak about it because it might not be comfortable for other people to hear from you. So I speak for you, all right? Because I know what you're thinking and I know what you're feeling. So I'll be the mouthpiece for you, all right? Let's see if you share the commonality with me, all right, in my sense and perspective, all right, as I bring in the common sense perspective lifestyle here. So, with that, let's talk about this random subject that came to mind as I am currently, believe it or not, sitting here for the very reason I want to talk about. All right, let me see here. Here it is. Here it is. There it is. There it is. COVID-19 pandemic, right? I know it's an old subject now, right? It's so 4 years ago. But COVID-19 is still here, technically, right? Uh, it's still a public thing. Schools still send notices saying there's been a COVID 19, not an outbreak, but more like exposure, right? And they still send notices home saying that. Workplace still notifies that there's been a COVID 19 exposure, right? Things like that. So it's still prevalent, all right? And shit, I'm in my probably my third. I'd probably say my third case of experiencing COVID-19 myself personally, right? So as this thing broke out in late 2019, early 2020, you know, two things happened for me personally. All right. Two things happen, and you can look at it as a positive and a negative. It's a net positive and a net negative that occurred with me. All right, because I'm all about pumping iron, and I love pumping iron and fitness and everything. Right, I hit the gym every day. I mean, with loyalty back then, loyal to the gym. I would go to the gym every day. Wake up 4 in the morning, get to the gym by 5, put in an hour or two, at least 2 hours. I'm sorry, at least 2 hours to work out, and go about my day, right? And then this happens, right? The pandemic hits, um, and it changed everything. So the net negative was gym closed down, all that stuff, right? And that sucked. Net positive, well, it created new attention for me to go into different avenues of making money, which I was already starting a YouTube channel at the time, and got involved in crypto. All right, so let's just say net positive. Let's make some nice gains in crypto during the pandemic. So net positive, net negative, right? I lost one thing but gained another, right? And to this very day, it's been, let's just say that's been the case to this day. I mean, outside of, the gyms eventually opened back up, but I ended up getting my own. Oh, so let me finish the story then, I guess. Let me just I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So as time went on, I got desperate. I bought gym equipment. 6 months into this whole pandemic, because they closed down the gyms in March 2020. They closed down the gyms at least from that time 3 months, right? And at the time, there was really no telling how long gyms were going to be closed for. And then they started doing all this stuff about how many people could go to the gym and all that stuff. I was like, screw that. I was gonna say shit, but I said shit now. But I was gonna say screw that. I'm gonna buy my own stuff. I was desperate. I was like, I gotta have something, right? So it was expensive too, man. I remember I bought a squat rack, bench, dumbbell bars, and I bought the bar with 400 pounds, all right, 45-pound Olympic barbell, and 400 pounds of free weights, right, plates. And guess how much that cost? $1,000. And that was three times, it was triple the cost of how much it would usually be. But I was like, shit, I'll pay for that because it was, one, it was hard to find. Two, when I was able to find it, I was like, I'm paying for it, I don't care. So I paid for it, $1,000. Man, it was crazy. That's just for the weights alone. But yeah, so crypto gains, all that stuff. All right, boom. So pandemic hit, all these places closed down. It was bad. It just sucked. Life sucked. All right. I mean, there's so many different directions we could go about this whole pandemic stuff, but I want to just talk to you on the experience of this whole thing, right? Net positive, net negative, and what you make of this. All right. So as time went on, it sucked, right? You could barely go out. You couldn't barely do anything because of the state restrictions. This is just California. I'm not speaking for the United States as a whole because every state had their own policies and stuff. Right? Florida still ran openly, right? They didn't give a shit. I wish I was in Florida, you know. But in California, man, there's so much restrictions. Right? You couldn't go nowhere. Couldn't do shit, you know. You could barely go shopping. They only let certain people in at a time. Like one, it is stupid. All right, the whole thing was stupid. Come to find out, right? They keep the kids home and started doing like Zoom calls, Zoom classrooms, whatever, and that was terrible. So every decision made in California was stupid. All right, all to the very thing with, oh, you gotta take the COVID shot if you want to protect yourself. You don't want to die. I was like, screw that shit. You know what I mean? And so guess what? When that time came, I said, all right, I could do the swab test and all that stuff. And then they started pushing this whole, you got to take a COVID shot, take the COVID vaccine. I was like, nah, I'm not taking that shit. So as that time came, I refused. I said, I am not taking the COVID vaccine. I don't give a shit. I am not putting that in my body. Many people panicked, said, I'm taking the shot, I'm taking the shot. Some people were forced to do it, especially in certain professions. They try to pressure us in my current profession. They try to pressure us into taking it. I'm not taking that shit. I don't care. So they try to almost segregate you to where you take the COVID vaccine, you're good, right? If you don't, you got to take 2 tests a week. I was like, that's fine. I'll take 2 tests a week. They're trying to make it, where you give you a hard time. 2 tests a week is pretty excessive, right, when you think about it. But 2 tests a week, and or you just take a vaccine, and then you could bypass that. I was like, I don't give a shit. So they really wanted to give you a hard time, taking 2 tests a week to make it inconvenient for you. In exchange, all you got to do is just take the vaccine. You're good. I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm not taking that shit. And I stood by that. So I did my 2 tests a week, right? I kept doing it, diligently as I should. There was 1 week, believe it or not, there was 1 week, I'll never forget this, back in December 2021. I only worked a 3-day work week that time for that particular week because I had like days set up to be off and all that. So I said, once for the 3 days, I think I'll be fine. I'll just take 1 test, right? And did it, came back, and next thing you know, I get written up, right? And why did I get written up? Because I didn't take a second test for that week. So it was almost like a warning write-up, right? And it goes in your file saying that because, You know, it's called a LOI, a letter of instruction, meaning that they give you a warning. I was like, that's full of shit. I wanted to crumble that when I got that. I wanted to crumble it right in their face, but I didn't do that though. All right. And then the letters of instruction, you could get that removed out of your file after like, I believe it was like after a year, you could get it removed out of your file. But you got to go through hoops to get it requested to get it removed out of your file. You know, it's stupid shit like that. But you get it writ right up because I did not take a second test for that week. In technicality, if you want to play the technicality game, you're supposed to take the test once every 72 hours, right? In order to get effective results. But the explanation was from, let's just say, an administrator was, I don't care if it's done, you know, back to back days. You have to get it done twice a week. You know what I said to that? Say no more. So I went in, say like a Monday, got my test done. Went in on Tuesday, got my test done. I was like, I'm done for the week. Don't bust me over that shit. You said it. I'm doing it. I was always spreading it out as I was supposed to. And then for that 1 week, I didn't do that. And then the explanation was, I don't care if it's back to back. All right, say no more. If it's bad results because it wasn't done correctly, that's not on me. All right. But yeah, so with that, I refuse to put that in my body. Right? You know, they say that when they come up with vaccines, in order to know if it's effective or not, through trial testing, all that stuff, it takes at least months to at least a year to at least be able to get all these results, test results, and collecting all the data and filtering through it and figuring out, okay, this is effective. Oh no, this is not effective. No, all these things were emergency rush jobs, right, to put together vaccines in a form of what? 3 companies that provided vaccines. 2 were like single dose, and then 1 was a double dose that you had to come back and do a second one. And that's not including like dosing, for a second one down the road because it's wearing off from the first time bullshit, right? So, all that stuff, all right? And by the way, if you break down what the COVID-19 coronavirus is, right, the SARS-CoV-2 is, right, it's a flu virus, all right? And guess what happened with the last flu virus, right? The SARS. You guys remember SARS? All right, let's look up SARS. All right, let me pull this up right now. I'll pull up SARS pandemic. There wasn't even really a pandemic, more like epidemic, right? Happened in the early 2000s. You can see that there, SARS, which is look at this here, SARS CoV-1, right? And then what is SARS CoV-2? So, in a sense, it's a variant of the original SARS, right? That breakout that happened in globally, right? It came from China, and it killed people too, right? Same thing. It's a coronavirus. I remember seeing it in the news, but it wasn't made such a big deal. And it's the same thing. It's an acute respiratory syndrome, just like COVID-19 is, as you can see here. It's a SARS-CoV version 2, right? Number 2. And so, yeah, it killed people too, right? And so I was just like, it's a flu virus, right? It's a stronger flu virus. During that time with SARS, I didn't catch SARS. I might have caught the flu, I don't know. But I don't think I caught SARS at all at that time. With the COVID-19, I ended up getting COVID-19, believe it or not, in January 2022. That was the first time I got it. So 2 years after this so-called, breakout, right? Outbreak, whatever you want to call it. 2 years after that, I got it in January 2022. I have to admit, it hit me hard, man. I was just like, I remember having it for the first 5 days. It was relentless. It just would not back down. Like just the how hard it was on me, and I was just like, man, it was just like the relentless amount of the feeling of just the achiness. I think I had an off and on fever. Um, the cold symptoms. Flu symptoms and stuff. Man, it was definitely stronger than the flu. I'll give it that, right? But again, it's still a flu virus. And when I got it, I was like, well, I guess that's the whole point of getting the what do you call it, the coronavirus vaccine, right? Is to help prevent it. But I've always looked at flu shots and such as it's stupid because when you look at what flu shots are, even with the coronavirus vaccine, you're injecting yourself with the flu virus, right? Because last year's whatever virus strain it was, right? Because supposedly the concept is if you inject yourself with the flu shot or the coronavirus vaccine with that particular strain from the past, it's giving you something to build up antibodies with to give resistance to the new variant of it, right? Give you better resistance to it. To me, it's a stupid concept. I've never taken flu shots either, by the way. It's a dumb concept to put yourself and get your body sick to stave off getting sick. I mean, think about that. To me, common sense was like, why would I do that shit? So I've never ever taken a flu shot in my life. Never put a COVID-19 vaccine in my body. Oh man, should have seen when I refused, right, to family members and stuff. A lot of family members took the vaccine, and they're looking at me like I was the enemy. They were just like, "Oh man," like everybody's like, "Can't you talk?" They're talking to other family members, talking to me. Hey, can't you talk to them about getting that vaccine? Like, it's dangerous. Not only for him, but it's dangerous for everybody else that he's around. And it's like I was just so it was so taboo to be around me because I didn't take the shot and stuff. That's how I was looked at, and I was just like, I don't give a shit. Then I'm the what's it called, black sheep, I guess. But yeah, so I didn't give a shit. Oh, you can't travel because you don't have a vaccine. All right, then fine. I'm not going to travel. All right. You can't go eat at restaurants if you don't have a vaccine, card, right? Then I'm not going to eat at the restaurant, right? I mean, shit. Don't bust me over the bad, good time, So as time went on, as all these stupid restrictions led up, and then you start, everybody started to get back together in public. No more standing 6 feet apart from one another. All this other stupid shit they make you do. Oh, everybody go back to school now. Everybody go back to the stores. Everybody go back to movie theaters. Everybody could go back to doing things back to normal. Right? It took shit at least 2 years, right? 3 years. About, let's see, 2 to 3 years before all restrictions were finally lifted. Just in California. I'm just speaking for California. I'm not speaking for the United States or any other state. In California. All right, it took a very long time to lift all these restrictions because Gavin Newsom's an idiot, right? And he's responsible for a lot of dumb kids today because of just that 1 or 2 years that you took them out of school to be Zoom called education, right? Zoom classrooms. If to make it, I mean, to state it in layman's terms, it fucked up a lot of kids, right? And I mean, if you see how bad education is right now with those kids that lost those 1 or 2 years, it really set them back big time. And anybody in California can speak about their kids and how bad it really affected their education. It really screwed up in terms of just their learning curve, their progress, and they have to dumb it up right now just to make kids succeed a little bit easier in school right now because of that crap. And by the way, to this very day, still have not taken the COVID vaccine, 19 vaccine, and I'm sitting here on my third time because I took the swab test myself and experiencing COVID, right? And I have to say it was pretty strong. Let's see, this is Friday. Yeah, it's been about a week. I started experiencing a weird dehydration kind of feeling last Friday. And then Saturday I felt alright, but starting to get a little bit of a headache. Sunday, I had to use the bathroom like crazy. I thought it was related to this food I ate because I just kept on going to the bathroom like crazy, thinking it was the food I ate. But in essence, it was this buildup of symptoms from COVID-19, And then next thing you know, it started, the throat and everything that you need, a little bit of a fever, the body heat, the aching a little bit. Actually tweaked my back when I was doing squats. Like out of nowhere, my back got tweaked doing squats. And I was like, oh shit. And then, couple that with the burning throat, and I realized, all right, I think this is what it is. So tested myself, and oh shit, positive, COVID-19 positive. And so, and this is the third time I've done that, experienced it now. So 2022, I experienced it again once last year. I swabbed and I was, oh, okay, got positive again, and then now this year, 2024. So I guess this sort of flu virus is here to stay. It seems like, and suppose I read a headline that the bird flu is supposedly the next big virus right now, and that they created a vaccine for that just in case. Oh, I scared that shit. But anyhow, I never took the vaccine, and I'm living through 3 times of COVID now, so I think I'll be all right. I don't know. Maybe I have a healthy lifestyle, lifting, pumping iron, and running and all that all the time. I don't know. I think when people died from it, I would think they had an underlying health condition that exacerbated to their death because the corona virus really severely weakened them to have them succumb to death. That's what I think. But yeah, so I laugh at everybody when I say, yeah, I didn't take that shit in my body, and I laugh at my family that were coming down on me for not taking it. I was like, yeah, and guess what? They all experience coronavirus, COVID-19, at some point too. And I'm just like, well, so what's the use of getting the vaccine if you guys still got it? And the only argument back to me was, well, at least it wasn't as strong as how you got it. And I was like, but you still got it, right? So, it's just shit like that. It's just funny to me. I still laugh at everybody for that. And I'm glad I didn't, quote unquote, bend the knee and cave into the pressure of taking the vaccine, whether it was workplace that was kind of somewhat pressuring you, not really, but kind of pressuring you to take a vaccine. Um, Peer people, your peers. Oh, you gotta take the vaccine. I'm not taking this shit. Family, I'm not taking that shit. Right? And where are we at today with it? I'm not taking that shit to this day, ever. Nor am I taking any. I've never taken a flu shot. Like I said earlier too. To me, what's the point? I'm taking a flu shot. We're gonna get a flu anyways, regardless. And I still can't wrap my mind around why would you inject yourself with the flu virus to prevent yourself from getting the new strain of flu virus? Because usually they say with flu viruses, including corona, it's a mutated. It's a mutated version of its original, right? So it mutated to a new form, right? So that's why there's COVID one or SARS-CoV-1, which is the SARS from early 2000s, to SARS-CoV-2, which was this one, right? So the next one's gonna be SARS-CoV-3, and I'm just like, come on. So you guys are gonna fall for that shit again and take a vaccine for that? Nah. And then, shit. To be honest, I don't even know what the results are of all the lab tests. A couple years later, now you can really, decipher the data and see if it actually was effective or not. Because what if it wasn't? What if it was just a waste of time and it was more of a placebo effect? That you just put in your body. What if it's something that you put in your body, and you could gear this towards conspiracy, but what if it's something that the government wants to put in your body that slowly, I don't know, could do something to you over time? You just never know, right? That's conspiracy talk there, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. But it's just, there's some things that there's common sense to me that you can avoid, right? And I simply avoided that. I gave my argument, stood by it, stood my ground, didn't bend the knee, and here I am today, large and in charge. Yeah, I might have gotten it for the third time now, but at the same time, I'm still here, still kicking it. Luckily, I guess. And that's where it's at. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. My thoughts of this whole COVID-19 BS. And it's a glorified flu virus, right? If you really dig down to this whole, thing here, it's just what it is, right? Symptoms of it is fever, sore throat, cough, fatigue, right? I mean, that's pretty much what a flu is. And so, yeah, I'll give it that. It's a stronger flu. I mean, believe it. I believe it. It's a stronger flu. All right. Let me look at this here real quick here. So, Spanish flu was also a flu, right? That's the most deadly flu there. Let's see here. I'm trying to see where SARS. So SARS didn't even rank in, among the top deadly flus of the world. But a lot of people got sick of that time, when it came to that. When it came to having it. But yeah, so it is a stronger flu because I'll never forget the first time I experienced it. And I'll give you, and if you experienced it while you were at my workplace, they give you 2 weeks off, which was pretty nice, paid. 2 weeks off paid. These days, if it's reported that you have it, they say that as long as it's not like knocking you out, you want to take time off, it's on your own sick time now. Whereas back then it was just paid time off. Whew, man, that's pretty nice. It's like a 2-week vacation. But yeah, so that's where it's at with all this. I just wanted to share that with you guys. My thoughts on it and my thoughts on this whole vaccine bullshit I never did. And What about you guys? Did you guys do it? Were you guys pressured into it? Did you guys make yourself do it? Let me know what you think about all this stuff. I thought it was a mistake to shut everything down. I think it was just BS, to scare everybody in that sense. Like you didn't have to shut everything down. Yeah, you take your precautions, right? Maybe urge people, hey, if you're sick, stay home. Right? But to shut everything down and overreact, it really screwed up a lot of people. All right, so let that be a lesson. All right, I don't think we'll ever see something like this again to this extent because of the repercussions of it to this very day. That's still happening. I don't think it's going to be this sort of panic in that sense. I think, yeah, there'll be precautions, but to the extent of what we did in 2020, nah, that's not going to happen again. I just don't see it happening again. Anyhow, that's enough from me. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. And we'll always have more to talk about. Subscribe to everything I got. Hit the bell icon. I am CM. This is your common sense lifestyle and perspective here. I'll see you next one.